we will hopefully have everyone joining us. If I start to go in and out on audio, on video, then I will just turn my video off. So welcome to the Connected Networks call. It's good to see everyone. Carol in the corner, who I can't see, but we are less than 2 weeks away. Oh my gosh. Yeah. Exciting. So since we're talking about connecting, I'm going to ask, what are you most looking forward to connecting to? Avery.
So I, when you sent the email about the different kind of specific initiatives, I think Tyler and Jeff and I have been getting pretty good traction around the storytelling kind of repository clearinghouse concept. I've been talking with Enoch lightly about the global events calendar piece, since that's something we've been building, but it hasn't had a specific ecosystem focus. So I'm curious about the technical implementation aspect of that, and just is there a way to leverage kind of the work and resources we're already deploying towards that. And then the network of networks component. And so what, just trying to get clear, I think, on what the next steps are there. And I imagine a lot of that's going to emerge from the NRP conversation on site in a couple weeks. So many things. I love all the things.
Okay, well, pick someone.
I'll pick someone. Samantha.
All righty. Hey guys, it's nice to be with you today. I was not planning on being here, but when I got the email from Celia, I just thought, oh, this is good. Got to be on this one. The activity and the group that I'm the most excited to connect more with is SourceLink. Mm-hmm. Because I think that I've read through some of their reports, and I think that what they do is brilliant, and it ties with so many other things, and it ties to my doctoral research. So yeah. So that's what I'm excited about. Let's see, Tyler.
Sure. Thanks, Sam. Hi. I'm excited about seeing the tribe for sure. The champions, excited about that. I'm excited for seeing how it's all received in whatever form and or stage it might be at. Whatever it is we throw at them. I'm excited for the interviews that we're going to be capturing, so to back up some of these ideas. Barbecue, duh. And yeah, I think, the party house too. We're gonna have a good time at the co-starters house. And Sam, do you, SourceLink is having a dinner on Wednesday night.
I was about to ask if you already had the invite to that.
I just RSVP'd. Thank you very much for mentioning it, though.
I can't make that one because that's the co-starter dinner night at the house. But
yeah, Becky from NACI and I are both going to go to the SourceLink one. Thank you, though.
Good. I want to make sure it's attended, and I will pop to. Hi, Carol.
Hi. Hello from Chicago. This will be my first summit, so I kind of don't know what is likely to be happening. And in terms of the whirling and twirling around, I'm part of this goal group and also the number 7 goal group. So I'm hoping to meet my comrades on both goals in person, because I've been on these calls since last summer. And so people are disembodied voices for me. But I kind of don't know what to anticipate and what might be possible. We'll just have to see.
Everything you've ever dreamed, Carol, and we can't wait to see your face either. Who do you want to talk to next?
Sam, have we heard from Sam?
Sam, we heard from. David just jumped on. And
how about David then? David.
And then there's a 303 number. Yeah.
And there's a 303 number. I don't know who that is. And I see Jackie getting.
So David.
So Jackie, are you the 303 number? Maybe. Yes. Okay.
Yes,
so,
that's me.
That was the
So-
CIA or somebody.
So for David and
Hello.
Jackie, what we're talking about is what are you most excited to connect to at ESHIP?
And David goes first.
All right. So I haven't been yet. So I sort of don't know, but that's one of my favorite places to be. So I mean, on one side, I know it's going to be great to see everybody, but really, this time, like, I love new things and learning stuff and just generally curious. So I'm just excited to go and see it and get my head more wrapped around all of the work and what everybody's doing, and have way too many ideas and way too little time to work on stuff when I head out. So that doesn't stress me out. That really energizes me. So I'm pumped to just be there and experience all the stuff. And my team, a lot of us are going, and my job is to just be at the event, which I'm really excited about. I have like one thing to do, but otherwise I actually just get to go to the sessions and be a participant of an event, which I don't get to do very often. So I'm just excited to be there. And now, Jackie.
Hi, David.
Hey, Jackie.
This will be my third time at ESHIP, and really for me, it's just being around all of the other practitioners that are running programs for entrepreneurs, and are especially those that are focused on like the inclusion part of it. I think it's just amazing to meet so many innovative thinkers that are doing amazing stuff in this space. So the connections for me are just anything I can do to be surrounded by all these other really, really smart effing people. That's my highlight.
Excellent. Okay, so I guess it's going to be easier to be off of video because of my internet connection. I don't have Chattanooga size internet, so
Not everybody does.
I know. So, okay. So for those who have been and those who haven't, just a quick thing about this next ESHIP Summit. We're really going to focus on the initiatives, and that's why I sent those out, the initiatives behind or under each respective goal. There are other initiatives out there. These are just the 30 or so that have been recognized by the community as a good place to start. So if the initiatives that you're passionate about did not make this current list, it does not mean that you don't get to work on it at ESHIP with other people. It just means that these are what we're putting forward as a good starting point. That being said, since a lot of the ESHIP Summit is going to be around national resource providers, the organizations that will help house and support, because Kauffman can't do it all, right? Kauffman's a great convener, and because they have the ability to convene, they should, which is what they've been doing for the past couple of years. But the idea is that all of this work is done by all of us, with the support of organizations like Avery's Conveners and Co-Starters and all of the organizations that are represented that do things on a national and global level. So that being said, it is a working conference. Expect to come and work. We need your brain power. We need your energy. We need your ideas, and we can't do the work without you. So excited that everybody's coming. The gatherings that they're talking about are Wednesday night is kind of on your own. And so Wednesday night being on your own, some organizations have decided to put together and host some events. So there's other things, and it'll all be available on the app, that should come out soon. Or if you're part of an organization, you may have gotten an invite. If you have not received one yet, know that when there's open events, it's an opportunity to engage with other people, and they will be shared. Then there's this other part of the conference. So because we're in an environment where 449 of your fellow ecosystem builders are, It's a unique opportunity to get together with people and share the work that you're doing, something that you're interested in, all of those things. So there is an unconference planned. The unconference starts at 12:30 on Tuesday for signups. And then at 1 o'clock to 4 o'clock, there will be an unconference. And there are some ESHIP champions, Eric and Hassan, who are heading that up. There are some other initiatives along the way. I know Tyler and Jeff are involved in a storytelling thing we're trying to make available that we're going to try to find some space. It's all a work in progress. Everything's a draft. And so all those things are evolving. So bear with us as we.
2 weeks.
Oh my gosh, we're just like sprinting to. This is the home stretch. So that being said, I had emailed everyone a copy of some of those Goal 4, the Goal 4 initiatives. I'm curious to hear feedback on some of them so we can take them in order, or like I feel like it's interesting to hear all of your input and thoughts on where your energy is at. And I'm going to ask either Avery, Tyler, or Jackie, or all three of you, if you will do me a favor and at the end of the call, send me a TLDR of the call so that when I post it to the dashboard, that it's not just me repeating things on all the calls, but the things that you heard that resonated with you. Okay? So here we go. Did I get all of them? I'm trying to cut and paste. All right, let's see what I got. Okay, so I've got some of them. All right, so let's start with Tyler. Tell us about one of these Goal 4 initiatives that speak to you.
Well, obviously 4-4, just because I'm dead in the middle of it with Jeff.
So why don't you explain because Carol's not on the.
Okay. Oh yeah, sorry. All right. So 4-4 ecosystem building storytelling clearinghouse, which is online crowdsourced clearinghouse for stories, information sharing, podcasts, content that we all want to consume and share, as well as. It's the idea is by us, about us, by us, and for us, ecosystem builders. So it's not stories about entrepreneurs themselves. It's about the people you see on your screen right now. So we have created a website, ecosystembuilderhub.com, which is a MVP at this point that Jeff Bennett put together. We have several stories, several features we've put, as well as we're building a link library. There's an active contributors group and document in the drive somewhere. Cecilia, if you have access, I forgot where that is. I'll try and find it while I'm talking. But and yeah, just basically getting that all cranking has been my big one, and then the toolkit, which to me has always been the marketplace. I'm a big fan of the idea. The lack of something like that is what drew me into this madness anyway. So yeah, those are my two. And was there a Y in there, or do I have to?
No, only if you want to share.
Yeah, just any help anybody can have. She mentioned at the event we're trying to create a space where we can do some active audio and video interviews of ecosystem builders. Going to be between 5 and 10 questions real quick to create content. So if you're interested, etc., please track down Jeff and I. We'll probably put something out in terms of a scheduler, I guess. Maybe Cecilia, if there's something similar to like what Andy used in Istanbul. Remember when we were, I don't know if there's any way to do that, but otherwise, yeah, that's it for me. Avery?
I was taking notes in an email for the TLDR, so I'll just do my best to add in what I'm sharing here. Super excited about the clearinghouse. And as I shared earlier, this idea of the events calendar. So Communities.org has a global events calendar of impact-focused events that I think we've got 850 to 1,000 events listed per year around the world. Co-Starters has been building out one for ecosystem-specific events. They have a way better UI in some ways, but not the same filtering ability we do. So I'm excited to geek out with anyone who wants to get into like the tech side of this and the sourcing side of this, of how we actually get, because the ESHIP Summit itself, I think, has been a really powerful place to source book lists, events you go to, like what you're listening to, right? Like you get all these people on site and they like dump this in and it feels like it goes into a black hole. And it hasn't felt like there's a lot of transparency, and maybe it's just there's a lot of information and I miss stuff, but it hasn't yet been clear how the contributions that the community is making there can be seen. And I think that's part of what comes back to the Storytelling Clearinghouse is having this space to be able to reflect back to the community all these cool resources and stories and articles and insights that they're sharing back to each other. I was super jazzed about the podcast. You've all ended up kind of running with that with a project she was doing. It felt better to just step aside than to try to compete in that space, and so put my energy elsewhere. But I love her podcast, and it's wonderful to listen to, and I recommend it. And then the National Resource Provider Network. So this idea of the network of networks is something that I like. The facilitator in me is like, ooh, I want to help build the meta network because I build meta networks. And then the other side of me is like, wait, but I am one of those people who should actually be participating in that group because I resemble that remark. And so there's just a fun tension to play with there. The cause not do thing. It's a good mantra to just keep in the back of your head. Cause not do. And sometimes, like Dave was saying, it's really nice to just show up and fucking participate and not have to like be running stuff and running the show. So I'm jazzed about that. And I'm jazzed to have a colleague with me at ESHIP this year. My colleague Devin Davies coming. And so I'm not like, knocking on all the doors alone. So I'm really jazzed to have another teammate at the event.
That's wonderful. I love what you said, Avery, about stepping aside. And I don't think it needs to be an either or, but you could be like the guest podcaster if you're going to share some of that platform or do something a little bit different. But I think that because we so often in ourselves, in our communities, as a field, as people, look at scarcity or have that fear of scarcity, and where we need to model that abundance, that living in abundance kind of thing. So I think it's great to hear you mirror that, and so I'm excited. But go ahead and call on somebody else.
Carol.
Okay, well, the two initiatives that interest me the most are the last two. The reason I first migrated toward this group late in the summer was because as the president of one of the state incubator associations, I have been in touch with the presidents of most of the other 20 state incubator associations, and I thought that maybe just through that network, we could collect some information or distribute some information, or that would just be useful. So I'm still thinking that that project, as a matter of fact, is one of my summer focus projects, is to start monthly phone calls amongst the state association presidents. We have tons of info to share. We are all duplicating each other's efforts. We each know of opportunities and resources that others don't know about, kind of, a mini version of the ESHIP group in many ways. And so I'm really focused on moving that toward a formalized group with monthly bridge calls and some kind of structure this summer. It's a key project of mine. So I'm not quite sure how that group will then maybe become a subset of initiative number 5 as a resource to, especially to encourage coordination and collaboration and communication. You know, it's not so much that that group is going to likely ever as an entity be delivering services under the umbrella of that entity, whatever we end up calling ourselves. And then as we grow, if we can inspire more states to create state incubator associations, then, you know, that would be really great. But so I've got an eye toward that, and it's just sort of, you know, noodling around in my head. I'll be looking for kind of toeholds for where some coordination or some leverage can happen that relates to that group, since that having that under my belt was a key part of why I migrated toward this group. Then the governing or standards bodies also interest me, just because I'm an organizational type. I'm a former corporate type, so I'm a big fan of organizational structure, especially when it comes to either communicating outbound or distributing information or services, as well as collecting info from the field. So I'll be also watching for, you know, people who are interested in that particular project, and to see what we might be able to do to move it along over the next month to come. I'm also in goal group 7 that is involved with certification programs and some other kind of structural definers that might end up relating to this 6th initiative of ours. So those are my interests, main interests, and the reasoning behind them. How about Jackie next?
In terms of connected networks and the communication pieces across the ecosystem builder field, for me, it's absolutely the 4.6, which is looking more closely at the standards and the coordination that happens across approaches for the fields of ecosystem building. And I think it's really interesting to think about how we develop more of that common language, because ultimately I'm interested in how we have a really strong case as a field for how entrepreneurship can be used as a strategic economic development tool. So I think anything that we can do to really show that this movement is happening across the country, and that we have shared statistics and measurement tools that speak to that, is a really powerful effort. And I'm interested just in terms of what we're doing in Denver around economic development and entrepreneurship, and how we use it, how that helps to inform how those decisions are made. And then speaking from someone who, as a place-based ecosystem builder, looking at the toolkits and the calendars, and somewhere in there is the experience of having been a part of, about a half a dozen different groups right now that had between 12 and 40 people doing monthly calls, or trying to figure out how we get together and learn from each other. I think this is just a really cool opportunity to have that established in a formal way that makes it big and visible, and can create ease of access for others in the interest of being more inclusive for the types of professionals and people that we can enlist in this work. So I think those are, in terms of what's happening at ESHIP, where I'm excited to see how I can support as an advocate, or someone who can help to inform what that process could look like, and how it could be to really serve the work that we're doing in our local areas. So those are my highlights for goal 4. How about you, Samantha?
Thanks, Jackie. So you asked about where our energy is, Celia. My energy is always dictated where my curiosity is, and where I'm most curious is the National Resource Provider Network. I instinctively want to know and understand what all those are and what they offer, and so I would say that would be my number 1, and number 2 would be the ecosystem building toolkit. Again, because I just really want. I think that's going to be really valuable for this group. And personally, I'm just interested in it. So I'd like to contribute there in some way. Did we get everybody?
I think it's David's the only one.
Okay. All right, David, you're up.
All right. Sorry, I'm moving.
Walking.
My daughters are home from school, so I'm moving to where they're not going to be in the background.
Oh, come on.
Well, they're energized.
You going to climb into your car? Well,
I got popsicles. I'm going to the front porch.
They come to the front porch?
They might, and they might go through this window behind me too. So this may only work a little bit.
Where's your energy?
Oh, I've got energy. I got energy. They've got too much. And they're eating popsicles. It's gonna get worse. So yeah, for me, I mean, I think storytelling's dumb, which is why Tyler's doing it. So I'm not interested in that one off the bat. No, I think I'm super interested in 4.5 because like I just love working on that collaboration connection and trying to figure out those things. There are parts of 4.3 that are interesting to me. I'm not great at online platforms or newsletters or podcasts at all, but the meetups and working groups and those kinds of pieces of that as part of the communication and how we connect is really interesting to me. So, and then there's other things that don't excite me to work on, but I know we need. And so the events calendar is like a priority for me because it just like that when it doesn't get coordinated is a pain. And the toolkit, like, again, that's not my skill set, but we really need that if we want our entrepreneur ecosystem builders to do a good job. And so it's a piece of the overall wellness of an ecosystem builder is, do they actually know how to do their job well and explain it to other people? And do they have the resources to do that? And until that's done, we could do the other work that I like of hanging out and making sure people have like emotional resources. But if they don't have the tangible, like real world ones, it won't matter. We'll just be happy people that are failing. So that's sort of where I am. I know I'm all over the map on those, but 4.5 is probably the easiest one. And then a piece of 3, 2, and 1.
Okay, so like basically everything.
No, the storytelling. I don't want to do anything
except for the storytelling.
And governing standards. I can't do that stuff.
No, and nor should you.
I heard 5, 3, 2, 1.
Yeah. So part of the reason that I asked all of you to think about these things is that's part of the exercises that you'll be going through is working and delving deep into ideating, iterating, coming up with a MVP of what one of these things looks like in a team of people. So go where your energy is drawn. For those of you who are on several calls, it's going to be hard. We're going to try to make it so that you can do more than one, but again, it will be hard. And just because you do one doesn't mean that that's the only thing you are bringing to the table forever, right? It's just, again, ESHIP is a point in time. So it's a point in time where we're all going to convene together. We're going to do the thing that we can do together. And then we're still going to be doing these. So what I would like to have happen and what should happen is as these things evolve, these working calls will actually be more working calls as opposed to update calls and getting ready for something calls. It's maybe brainstorming together and thinking about challenges and giving each other feedback so that we create the most tangible MVP that we can to put it out there. Because until we start, who's going to do it, right? I mean, if it's not us that's going to do it. Plus, we want to make sure that they're sustainable. So the really big piece is talking about and why there's such an emphasis on talking about national resource providers. Like Sam said, it's the piece that becomes sustainable because it cannot live in a vacuum. It can't just live on a canvas that we create in a group that we sit in together for 45 minutes to an hour, and then it just be magically goes out there and becomes a thing, right? It has to be housed, it has to be sustained, and that's where we can think about. So I want you to consider taking your entrepreneurship hat and looking at how has it become sustainable, scalable, and just grow. So in all different directions. Does that make sense?
Everyone's nodding their head.
Everybody's
Yes.
nodding their heads. Thank you. For those of you playing at home, everyone's nodding their heads. So what do you experience as a challenge? So let's talk about connected networks. Because I just had, I'm in Fairfax, and I've met with a couple of people in government the past 2 days. A lot of it socially, which is nice because they open up a little bit more. But I said, you are like the essence of connected network. But there's so much that you can do to expand collaboration. And that's why I think we have collaborative culture as a goal and connected network, because I don't think they don't live in a vacuum. They have to work together. So it is absolutely mass collaboration. So like Jackie, you have deliverables and an answering body, and you're the connection between the entrepreneurs and the people in the community with the civic leaders and organizers and all of those things. So give us a challenge and give us a win.
Ooh. You know what comes first to mind, and this came up when David was talking, is the only way to get people involved in the work is like to have coffee with them and figure out how much you can share. As someone who kind of knows the field, like what are all of the things that I can do to give this, to pass this on and to share that kind of information. So how do we take this, the 451 people who are having 1 million coffee meetings a year to try and expand the talent in this field to having something that's a little more structured that we can say, here's the 3 places you have to go and this is the best place to start. I still feel like that doesn't exist. And if I could just have 25 fewer requests for coffee every month, I would be a much more impactful person in my field. I think the win would be, again, that shared language that really starts to frame out how we create true mechanisms to talk about the value of entrepreneurs in the same way that we can do now with small businesses as economic development engines. I think that's a huge win.
Mm-hmm.
The other thing is just we talk a lot about the calendaring, but I know that there's also a lot of really amazing peer groups that are willing to, include others, that are having really great conversations around how to manage certain aspects of this field. How do we create more connectivity just to these other organic groups that I've been able to be a part of, but some of them took me a year or 2 of searching in cities across the country to find who they were and figure out how to get connected to them and how to get involved. So I love the idea of finding those organic groups as much as we do the tools and the calendars, the events.
Yeah. Well, really, that's the toolkit and the calendar working together, right? And everybody's communicating. Yeah. So
Exactly.
1, 2, and 3 all
I
working
just got
together.
an email yesterday morning that was a group in New Orleans that are trying to put together a peer group around a certain topic, and would I want to be a part of that? I'm like, hell yeah. But I also want these other 10 people to know about it too, and they need to know, they need to be a part of it as well. And how do we get that amplification of the messaging?
We tell a story.
In a way that people can easily figure out, is it for me?
Well, but I mean, I think some of that, for me, it's who gets to be the gatekeepers of all those places? How do we make sure that that's working well? I mean, that's my anyway, I got a current soapbox, but I think it's, I think we've talked about it here. It's that tension between collaboration and control, because you don't want something that's totally out of control, but you don't want something that's controlled in the wrong directions. And, and we're figuring it out as we go, and it's generally good. Then the current problem, you're right, Jackie, is I just think there's a lack of knowledge in the first place, before we can even start to fix those pinch points. You're right. I meet so many people that have a portion. I'm like, oh my gosh, how do you not know so-and-so, or how are you not part of this already? And so just the information, I think, maybe is step one. And then we can start dealing with all of the who belongs and who gets to decide who belongs problems, so I guess I do care about the standards. I just don't want to have to make them.
I guess I struggle with that a little bit, David, because this feels like when we're running up against kind of humans' inability or our lack of capacity to deal with complex systems. No one can know it all. There literally is too much for any one person or even group of people to hold at this point. And that is the challenge with systems change, right? Is like we expect there to still be, we still have some sort of archetype in our head that there is such a thing as a person who could know all the connection points or hold all of the relationships. And so I sit with this curiosity of how do we make more replicable, decentralized models, right? And things like A Million Cups, I think, is actually kind of an example of that, right? Like, how do you create the framework and the little playbooks, like the tiny playbooks that are bite-sized, so that, like, Jackie is like, okay, cool, 25 more cups of coffee a month. Okay, that's not tenable or scalable or a good use of your time. What does that look like to do it as a group effort or as a monthly office hours? And I think part of this too is that and I really remember this most from the first ESHIP, where so many people were like, I thought I was the only one. How are there other people like me who seem to be wired like me? And that there is, I think, a learning opportunity around, as connectors, what does it mean for us to be valued and seen for the role that we play in community? And there's a case to be made here about entrepreneurial ecosystem building, but there's a deeper case of just like, as you get into more and more complex systems, you need more people who can be you need to talk to so-and-so, you need to read this article, and not that they're going to know it all, but their brains are just wired to be like, let's put these two things together,
Yep. If you have enough of those quick firing nodes, then even if you're 6 connections away, it doesn't take very long.
You'll find them. You'll find the point.
Yeah, I've always been thinking of like brain setup, personally,
Yep.
of like just nodes that fire fast enough, that are all connected somewhere, then we'll be fine. But that's tough. That's tough to get people to accept.
Sam, what are you thinking?
Nothing. I just agree with everything that was just said. I think that there's a lot of underlying value in entrepreneurial ecosystem building from a systems level. And I feel like there's a lot of opportunity to leverage technology to do what we're doing manually better and in a way that makes more sense. I don't know how else to explain that. I also think that there's an underlying shift in what is the definition of value. For example, the new book by the same lady that wrote The Entrepreneurial State just wrote a book called The Value of Everything, and where she went through entrepreneurial thinking and how the definition of value theory is changing.
Sorry, can you repeat the name of the new book?
It's called The Value of Everything. It's by the same lady that wrote The Entrepreneurial State.
Mazzucato.
Yeah, that's right.
How do you spell that?
Really?
Sorry. I have Google. I can make it.
Mazzucauto.
Yes.
Mariana, I believe.
Quick with the Google.
Yeah.
The webs we weave. Yes.
I'll put it in the little side chat bar also for anybody else. who needs that. But I've been thinking a lot about the value of an entrepreneurial mindset and entrepreneurial education, and how it's so much deeper than an economic development discussion. It's bringing the value to the world. So that's so much different than the pigeonholed perspective that a lot of academics have, which is the entrepreneurship is all about capitalism. And it is absolutely not. You know, there's this whole other world of just bringing value to others, you know? And so it's kind of like my Achilles heel that the definition, so many definitions don't include that. Okay, I'll get off my soapbox now.
But we get to define it. Can we own the message?
Oh, Cecilia, can I throw out just the dumbest but
Of course.
idea that came? Can we have an actual fucking soapbox at ESHIP? Like an actual soapbox. We can get on it. We can rail for 5 minutes and get off and be like, okay.
No, actually, that may actually exist in the interview room. It's something we do down here. We have an entrepreneur night group that travels around, and there's a videographer with them who showed up one night about 3 months ago with a whole video set up in a soapbox. It makes you stand up in front of it, so the whole group is doing it in the corner. And you have 30 seconds to who are you, and just slip it out. So I was actually thinking I was going to try that. So thank you, Avery. You just confirmed you're my market validation. Cecilia,
anytime.
I need a soapbox.
Okay, I'm gonna send an email out that asks for a soapbox. And you know what?
I'll send it to Andy if you need me to. That's a big ask.
No, that's fine. I will.
Can we put it?
Need a soapbox.
Can we put it in a space with like a sound absorbing room? Have you ever been in one of those where you just scream into the void, and then we put "Scream into the Void" above it, and you just go in on the soapbox and you yell, die.
The real world ESHIP. It's not video confessional booth. It's just. But
Cecilia, you're a robot. Cecilia just became a robot.
That's the best max headroom I've ever heard anybody do.
I miss him.
I'm telling you, it's Virginia.
It's
oh
Virginia.
My God. It's Virginia. Virginia is not for internet.
It's for lovers.
It's for lovers.
For doers.
Yeah, you don't want
a little
internet
difference
if you're
there.
dealing with love. Yeah, no.
It is. So, no, that's why you all have to carry on the conversation. So, it's kind of wonky. No, I think there's so much value in all of what all of you said. And that's what this is about, right? So, so what is it that we provide? So I had this conversation with a friend of mine that works for Mozilla, Sam, and we were talking about technology, and he looks for the lowest tech solution for everything, because he says, you know, technology was created to help people, and now it's the reverse, and there's something really wrong with that. And so we talked about connecting things like Meetup and Slack and all of those tools that are out there. And he says, first of all, it doesn't happen because it's proprietary information. So unless one thing buys out the other, there's no reason for them to ever communicate because they want you on that particular platform, right? So the business sense isn't there of why they would ever communicate. The people are the connectors, because it's those of us who are in those concentric circles, and because of the concentric circles, that you know something that's going on somewhere else. So because I know Jackie, I have an essence of what's going on in Denver's ecosystem. And if I need to, and if Tyler's experiencing a similar problem, then I can say, hey, so have you talked to Jackie? Jackie just had a similar thing happen. So, so anyway.
Well, and Cecilia, I thank you for naming that, because Sam, I had a similar reaction when you mentioned that like technology can do this better than us, and I feel like when we're looking at a just pandemic of diseases of despair because we're weeding out more and more human connection in our lives, it feels more important to find the ways that we actually keep this deeply human and not not try to outsource it to the machine, so to speak.
Yeah, and we're all nodding our heads as you're creating something to eat and not being able to see what you're creating so that we don't get hungry.
or judge me for my blue cheese and pineapple.
Okay, no, we're totally judging you for your
Blue cheese and what?
Not at the same time. I'm just finding what's in my actual fridge, which is almost nothing.
I don't think you're doing that right.
All right.
You ever had pineapple cheese?
Cottage cheese and pineapple.
Pineapple cheese it's a thing.
It's a thing. It's totally a thing.
There's like cream cheese. This has gone totally off the rails. Pineapple and cheese.
I didn't do it this time.
I know. Oh. I don't know. Anyway, we've got a couple of minutes left. What is top of mind that you want to share or get feedback or input from? These are your connected people. So what is your thing that you just need to, who needs the soapbox and the microphone?
What's the thing? What was the question?
What's the thing? What do you have to share?
What do I have to share at ESHIP? What am I looking forward to sharing?
No, just what do you
right
have to
now?
share?
What do you want from us, Tyler?
What do you want from us right now?
I want everybody to take a look at the contributors link. However, everybody to take a look at Ecosystem Builder Hub, and if you would take a story off of there and share it onto your LinkedIn to drive some traffic, that would be awesome.
Cool. Those are all doable.
We'd like some
Can
numbers
we like
to present.
nominate people? Can you nominate people to be contributors?
Absolutely. There's a nominate them to be a contributor. So,
Is that like
in fact, Tyler,
I'm not due. Come on, embrace it.
Oh,
it's a clearinghouse. It's a clearinghouse. So if you've got content, if you've got links, you can just straight send them to Jeff and I. If you don't have those, we want
Also,
people to go, Avery.
Oh, sorry, Tyler. So our accelerator newsletter goes out next week. So if you can, if you don't mind talking to my colleague Sarah, since she's the one who actually does the work around here, we could happily do a blurb about that to our network of accelerators around the world.
Okay. All right. Yeah, just if you want to, I'll shoot you an email, Avery.
Yeah, I'll connect you to Sarah.
Okay.
okay. Who else has an ask? What else can we help you with?
Nobody?
Nobody's needy? Come on.
I'll do a tiny ask. I don't know, for the Wednesday night that Cecilia mentioned, we're trying to keep events in sort of two buckets. We're doing it a bit incognito right now, but just so you all know, when we're done Wednesday, if you can do things in chunks from 5 to 7 and then 7 to 10 or 7 to 9, that'll help other people that are planning events. So, and if you want information on where a few people are going for cocktail hours at 5, ping me. I'll let you know, just like the region of town. But if you're talking with other folks that are coming, try to keep those spots bracketed out. Thank y'all.
Hey guys, I was reading a report a few days ago, and it talked about where entrepreneurship meets value. So I might just post that in our offline. What's that group called?
Slack.
Slack. Yeah, sorry. I might just post it in Slack for anybody who's interested in kind of getting a grasp of what I was even talking about a few minutes ago with regards to value.
Okay. You can chuck it into the general, or you can chuck it into the connected networks one, or there's a random one if it's really, really random.
It's just it's a little bit like academic. So if you get into that kind of stuff, you might love it. And if not, you might want to pass.
Yep. There's also a reading list too, which if any new fresh stuff you have, if anybody would contribute to that on Slack, I believe that they're trying to compile an updated book list.
Cool.
So,
that's good to know. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Anybody else? Carol?
I'm just absorbing it all and feeling like I'm just struggling with the whole technology versus human thing. Here I live in a state where it takes 5 hours to drive from top to bottom, and we're trying to minimize driving, so we're trying to use technology more, and just the whole thing of, the coffees with everybody be really nice, but wow, what happens when you're in an environment where that's a very limiting universe. And so mentally I'm just listening and just sort of sorting against my ever-present struggle between technology and human.
Well, getting on a video call is really easy. Just saying.
I mean, yeah, and I'm a big fan of web page sources and, digital resources, but I realize they can go too far in, so that's all.
Jackie, do you have an ask?
I don't have an ask at present. I'm just going through all of the links that have been posted. Will each of these, each of the 6 points on goal 4 will have one of the, like the storyboards, sorry, I can't remember the word you're calling them. The
Canvas.
forms that we're filling out for each one, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Okay.
So yeah, that programming piece is being curated at this time. So that's what Value Web and Wellington help do. Thankfully, it's they do it very well. For those of you who have been there before, like Jackie, when we were going through cult goals and trying to come up with a language around some of the goals and all of those things, and it's so it's really great to have people that help capture those things. So that's it. I'm gonna give you 5 minutes back and and figure out that I cannot wait to see you all. And I cannot wait to work on all of this stuff together. It's really powerful and world-changing work that we're getting to do. So, all right.
Thanks, guys. You're awesome.
Thanks, everyone.
See you soon.
All right.
Oh,
Take care.
hey, David, happy early birthday, buddy.
Oh, happy birthday.
Happy birthday. What?
You're on mute.
You're on mute. We can't hear
That's
you.
right. It snuck up on me. I didn't even realize that it's like next week, but
Oh my God.
yeah.
Awesome.
I'll be older. I'll be older.
Yay.
You're fun, David. Thanks.
Awesome. Take care. Bye.
Cecilia.
Late.
All I got was late.
All right,
All I got was
bye.
the word late.